Hello, welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and I am here with another actually building a world video. This series is not dead. In fact, the series isn't even delayed. I know it's been a year and a half since I got the last of these videos out, but it's not the series that was delayed so much as it was the world building that has been delayed. That's part of what we're talking about here. I got discouraged. I made a map. I spent a lot of time making a map, and I was disappointed with it. It didn't do what I wanted it to, and I think I learned from the process what I did wrong, how to fix it moving forward, and I felt like, after the many hours I'd spent on it and figuring that out, I was like, well, I know what to do to fix it. And I noted that down, but I was discouraged, and so I didn't jump right into fixing it, because I would have to do all the work that I just did all over again. And so it sat for more than a year. And, oh well, right? But I want to get back to it. I want to continue building the world. I want to run games in the world. I want to play in the world. I want to have fun with it. I want to invite my friends into it. I liked what I'd come up with. I even liked the concept for what I have to move forward with it. I just have to do the working. And so I'm making this actually building a world video in hopes that it will inspire me to continue working on it. And this video is going over the process of how I made the map that I didn't like. Because admittedly, the process is basically the same. I think the process was good. I put the continents in a bit of the wrong spot, and it didn't give me the things I wanted with the land masses. So I have to move it. Now, the process that I used was following instructions from Artifexian. Tutorials over on that YouTube channel. Great fun. At this point, they're all in his big bulk old videos playlist, because he's started, basically a whole new thing where he's building a world and going through the process bit by bit, and he's getting really nitty-gritty into it. More so than I really care to. I like the idea of having the world be geography and science inspired in its design. Trying to get climate zones in logical places, that kind of thing. Like that's the reason that I am following the tutorials that I am and using the inspiration that I am, is because I want to have some sort of logically sound world. I've done lots of world where you can hand wave it as magic happened, and that's fine, but that's not what I want in a world that I hope to play in for a long time to come. So on his old playlist, I followed fantasy maps and plate tectonics, which are very hand-waved plate tectonics of just sort of these plates do this kind of landmass. If you follow his new playlist, you'll get a lot more detail on tracking plate tectonics over time and all that. Like, you could really get into it with some of the stuff over on Artifexian. But just that old video gives at least a basic, and that's what I used. Atmospheric circulation, ocean currents, and how to design realistic climates, parts 1 and 2, are the videos that I followed. And I'm going to just throw up some art here, and we can kind of follow along here. So, to begin, you can kind of tell, like, this is a scan of, like, just some notebook paper. I came up with a concept of, like, just some little basic continents. Like, what do I want? I want something where there's, like, landmass on the South Pole, and then sort of, like, spreading up north from there connected. I came up with this sort of fun shape, which I end up thinking of like a rabbit jumping over the moon or whatever, for a continent, and then there's sort of a randomish kind of thing here. Of course, trying to get like the perspective that I need, I also kind of drew a little thing over here showing, where to expand the map. And I kind of came up with an idea of like different continental plates for the moon, for the rabbit, for the extra continent, and like maybe where there'll be splits in them. And further, as I then took the two different map of the shape of the continents and the map of the plates, and I kind of put them together and started drawing lines of like how things can move, and maybe adding other continental plates to break things up and make it where there'll be mountain ranges and that kind of thing, just sort of inspired by what the plate tectonics are going to do and how that's going to affect it. Like, if I push plates together, I get mountain range, and I know that. So I was trying to do some things like that. I then made it the perspective that I needed. I'd drawn that little thing of like where I was going to add between these two extra space and then between these extra space. So I just sort of spread things out so it'd be the right perspective, and I just kind of played with the size of different continents, moving things down further south, increasing the size, and I started drawing it in other programs to more finalize the lines, and then eventually adding in another continent in the center of a plate, working on, with the plate tectonics where I'd put the different island chains, and still keeping all of the plate movement, but sort of getting this look. Now I do want to draw special attention to this map right here, because this is basically the map that I'm going to go back to whenever I resume working on the world, and I'm going to move things from here, because some of the things on here I like. I'm going to keep some of the stuff that I made, but other things are going to change, move, be different, and so this will be like the basic that I go back to and remove everything where I want it and start from here. Everything from this point I'm basically going to have to be redoing, but it looks pretty. Just simple, pretty, no worries. And then I did landmass, mountains. Of course, the darker is higher elevation, where we get some mountain ranges, lots of fun. Yeah, I had some fun with it, and I came up with plan. I did sort of the first, the continental shelf, but not the depths of the oceans, thankfully, because that would have been basically doubled the work of this step. This is a huge step, going layer by layer, and it would have doubled the work of this step, because it was, because it would have been all the depths of the oceans, but that didn't affect any of the climate stuff that I was going to do, so I didn't do it yet, which means I didn't waste my time on it, because I'm going to be changing the map. Then I came up with atmospheric circulation, wind patterns, just rough idea based on, the where on the planet it is, which can combine with things to make ocean currents. Figuring out high and low precipitation. So blue are being higher precipitation, orange being lower precipitation, just based on the information that I'd figured out. Just based on where on the planet it is. The black band is like higher temperature, white band colder temperature. Just what are the temperatures that way or whatnot. And then also in the center of the continents, there's some anyways, just kind of figuring out different things. Anyways, I moved on and I marked off just sort of an arbitrary point in the mountains, because the Artifexian tutorials basically don't, at least the ones that I followed, did not account for high elevation. So I kind of just determined what high elevation was, and I did not do that at this point. So those are just the mountains, and then I started going through the how to design realistic climates videos instruct, and started making my Köppen climate classification map. Tropical rainforests, tropical savanna, putting in the hot deserts, the hot steppes, tropical monsoon climate, humid continental climates, subarctic continental, Mediterranean, humid subtropical, oceanic. These are the points where I could have been like, this isn't quite doing what I wanted, but I kept going. Because the biggest reason that I'm moving on is I don't get quite the range and locations of Mediterranean and oceanic climates that, can support the thriving life and civilizations that I want in the locations that I want them. But I think I learned more about how I can modify that and should be able to modify that for the future. On the next map when I get to it. Carrying on, I did cold deserts, cold steppes, the polar tundra, and the polar ice caps. Then I finessed some things. If you just kind of look between the two here, I finessed some things. If you look at maybe certain islands that I said, I can fit in some different climates there. I was thinking maybe I could introduce a little more oceanic or Mediterranean. I also, if you noticed, I did all the elevated regions based on knowledge that I know. Just knowing elevated regions are colder, so treated them like they were a different point, and ended up with a full map with climate zones, where certain climate zones up in the mountains just go, further inland for colder stuff, etc. I came up with something. That's going to be a hard one to redo, because a lot of that was a lot of brain power in figuring out, what do I want to do here? Because I was kind of going blind on that. And then I made my map, and I looked at my map for a while, and I tried to make my map work. But I just didn't have the climate zones that I wanted where I wanted them. I wasn't happy with it. And I got discouraged. And I decided I needed to redo it. I decided I don't mind the bottom continent. That's nice. I liked sort of this continent, but it didn't do what I wanted for this top right part of the map. I didn't like this one on the left side at all. And the one in the center kind of didn't do what I wanted either, though I was fine with it. So I'm gonna, move continents around, which of course will affect the zones in them, but I like the shapes overall, so we'll keep mostly that. And, I'll move things around and make a new one that hopefully can get the ocean currents to go where I want it, to get the climate zones where I want them. I think I'll be able to do it, but it's a lot of work. But I decided to just sort of, come by here and be like, hey, here is a map that I did make. Here is, I took all this and I made a map. It just didn't quite do what I wanted. And that's discouraging. But I'm hoping to find the inspiration to keep working on it. Because I want to build the world. I want to keep... I have videos describing cultures and such in the world. I have ideas for the world. I have campaigns of D&D. Multiple campaigns I want to run. And I just need to get past this hurdle of the map making. And it's me. I love map making. This more science-inspired approach is very different than what I'm used to. It was still fun. It was fun when I did it, and that's why even when I didn't quite get like the Mediterranean and oceanic climate zones that I really wanted, I just kept going because I was having fun in the moment. It wasn't until I stepped back and was like, and that's all for naught. It's all wasted. I'm not going to use this, that I got really discouraged. Oh well. Hopefully, it won't be another year and a half before you see me again working on fixing the map. Because I I'd like to get back to it. I want to keep building this world. Just gonna give it the time it needs. So yeah, hopefully I'll be back building more world soon. And this was a step of discouragement, but I guess I'm putting this out here. I could have just kind of ignored it and just gone with like the steps that led me to where I'm gonna pick up for the next one. But I felt it was maybe like if this is actually building a world, this is actually something that happened with building the world. Is I took a wrong turning. The map didn't end up how I wanted it. It didn't do what I wanted. I got discouraged, and I just didn't work on it for a very long time. But that's okay. That's okay. If you struggle with things like that while making your own worlds for D&D or for books or for whatever you feel like making a world for, it's okay. Move on to a different world if you want. If you like what you've done with it, you can either just pick the pieces that you liked and use them in a different world, or, like I want to do, take a step back and try again. Anyways, I've rambled long enough on my discouragement. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And hopefully it won't be all that long until I bring you the map for the world that I actually want to continue developing. Thank you. Bye.